They grow it and then they preserve it. And they focused a lot on preserving meats as well.
Yeah.
My question to everybody, so give us a comment on what you think the answer to this should be, no matter where you're listening to this or watching, is should you, when everything goes down, should we really be super worried about preserving for the future, or should we also be focusing about eating what's fresh coming out of the garden as well? So we're not totally wiping the plan and saying, no, we're only going to grow sweet potatoes now because they're going to last, and then not worry about anything else. So, like, where do you sit in that?
Again, such a unique question. So we're in the middle of planning for the next garden season. It's either hit the fan or it's on the horizon. And I need to make choices about basically what's going to come out of the garden in 60 to 90 days, right? And so in my mind, I am going to be growing fewer things fresh for fresh eating, I should say, and more things for the future. Because what now I'm going through my reserves as we speak. I'm eating through the things that I've preserved previously. And if we are looking at this to say, I don't know when the end, meaning the kind of the new beginning is going to be, you know, I want to make sure that I'm able to replenish those reserves. I think that the entire garden, 65 by 25 wouldn't be only with like kind of preservation crops or storage crops. Would I not grow any tomatoes? I probably still would,
Yeah.
but I think my eating habits would have changed so much where, well, yeah, a tomato sandwich would be delicious, but fresh bread, like all of these things, it's almost like a bare minimum way of thinking about the garden. Like, what can you consume with the bare minimum of electricity, gas, and or like all of those things.
Yeah.
So I can eat, if I needed to, I could eat a potato, sweet potato raw, a sweet potato. Remember, that's what I
I
said,
would cook
raw.
it. I wouldn't eat it raw. I'd cook it.
Yeah, I mean, it again, it all depends on where you are in the fan. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I
Do you know
think
how to start a fire?
by that time we're preparing for worst case scenario. I think that's the way that I'd be gardening for worst case scenario.
Do you know how to start a
Oh
fire without
no, let me add
gas?
this to the list. No, I don't.
Okay, I'm going to teach you how to start a fire so you don't have
Okay.
to worry about cooking your food anymore. Yeah, I got you, boo. These are all little things that you pick up over time and stuff like that too. But I look at it differently. So I look at it like we need to still focus on eating fresh. And we
Okay.
have to understand, if we take it out of the situation of it's going to be, um, a couple weeks and we're looking long term, what we have to understand is there's going to be moments of extreme, lots of coming in, lots of harvests, and then there's going to be moments of not a lot. And we definitely need to plan for the downtimes, the off season, and you need to preserve. But I think you also, when you have the opportunity and you have stuff that's coming out fresh, it's like your opportunity to kind of build up so that you can expend that energy later. So put on a couple pounds in the season, grow a couple heads of lettuce, eat the lettuce. Just because it doesn't preserve doesn't mean that you can't grow it. Just because you're not going to have it months later, but like enjoy it in the time that it has and think about that. And, we haven't talked about this in quite a while, but that's why we do the seasonal eating in our house, is so
Hmm.
that we get used to eating different vegetables at different times of year. It started off as like a practice to be like, well, if everything goes bad, we're not going to eat a tomato in the winter, so we got to get used to it. And then it's just kind of become a habit, and we don't even think about it anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think that we definitely need to grow and focus on fresh, and you need to find a happy balance, a happy medium.
Hmm. Yeah, I figured you would, and I can see that. I just don't know if I'd tomorrow if
Think
I'd
about,
have that attitude.
this is a weird thing to bring up, but think about the idea of the first Thanksgiving.
Mm.
So
Well,
it wasn't, I know. but it wasn't in November. It was in the middle of the growing season, and they had a plentiful, bountiful harvest, and they were enjoying and they were thankful for it. And so that's what we need to look at for that is, think about it like that, where there was a lot and it was able to help them. They were celebrating the fact that they had stuff that they could eat, and because the winter was tough. I lived in
Mhm.
Plymouth, Massachusetts. It's terrible in the wintertime. I don't know how they made it. I really don't. I don't know how they did it. It must have been the hardest thing ever because it was miserable up there in the wintertime.
Surely wasn't 2,500 calories a day.
No, probably 500 if they were lucky, But and we also do stuff here, like I hunt and stuff like that, so we can procure stuff that way. But there's a lot of different options.
I mentioned this. I'm pretty sure I did this scenario before, and a listener reminded me because I couldn't think of during the episode the name of the book. It's Animal Vegetable Miracle by Barbara Kingsolver. It's her life, a year of food life is like the caption of it. And I can't remember the circumstances. I think maybe it was just a party they were having, like some event they were having, and it was early in the season of like the first year that they were really trying to live off the land. And it was the what could we have to kind of honor what they were trying to do that's from the garden when so little was growing at the time. And that's you can take a snapshot of that if you think
That's so
about.
important.
Hmm?
That's so important.
Yeah. If you think about going back to a crusade, really, I think young Ben has been on for about 2 years now, at least. The growing early,
Oh,
right? Planting early, growing early, right? Yeah, the crusade, right?
yeah, I got
Um,
nervous.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking about this, and I know it sometimes comes across as, maybe a tinge of self-deprecation, but it's not. It being too hard on myself. It's maybe it is, but it's just the way that I am. So I am going to be planting in September, probably right around the time y'all hear this, in the front yard bed, which would be the third season of crops in that bed. So we started off with the broccoli, which we got like 50% of. Remember, the rest of it bolted.
Good
We
job.
went in with corn, which it's about like 75, 90 days that it was in the space, right? And then we're going to come in with a set of brassicas for the fall, transplanting them in. And you think about like, could I have gotten more in that space if I would have planted earlier?